Yeah,
Yeah.
you still haven't sent us the paper.
Nani? Didn't I? Oh, forgot to press send.
Not yet.
I put it on WhatsApp, but I forgot to press the send button. But you should have it right now already. Okay. So yeah, without further ado, let's not waste too much time, guys. In this chapter, the only thing you need to know is there are three forms of radiation, guys: alpha, beta, and also gamma. Are you okay? Are you okay? Yeah. Don't attempt any suicidal thoughts here. Anyways, yeah, alpha, beta, and gamma are the only forms of radiation in your syllabus, right? Depending on the form of radiation, it will have its own characteristics. Starting off with detection, guys, how are we able to detect alpha? Is usually using something known as a cloud chamber. And for those who have absolutely no idea what a cloud chamber looks like, don't worry, you are not alone. I didn't know what a cloud chamber looks like as well when I was your age. But essentially, a cloud chamber kind of looks something like this. They literally it's a very small petri dish. It's like probably the size like this only, right? And then you can see this white color thing here. This white color thing is essentially the alpha radiation source. It will slowly emit alpha radiation, and every time it emits alpha radiation, it leaves like a trail of clouds behind. You know, like if you ever see those fighter jets fly across the sky and then you see like a trail of cloud behind it, right? This is essentially that thing, but in a much more smaller scale only. And if you were to look at the applications of how a cloud chamber looks like, it looks something like this. Initially, this is the source. It will slowly emit some form of alpha radiation. Every time it emits outwards, it kind of like bursts the alpha radiation. Oh, is the speed 1 point. Okay, yeah. You see that every time it bursts out, right? This is essentially how they detect that there are alpha radiation. From this experiment, the key thing you should notice is that number one, alpha radiation does not travel very far, guys. And number two, it can be easily stopped. It can be easily stopped even in like literally a chamber of cloud, right? You can see that it doesn't actually travel very far. Thus, this one here from this diagram, the key takeaway from this part here is that you must understand, number one, alpha particles don't travel very far. Number two, their penetration power is very, very weak as well. It will literally be stopped by clouds of chambers of clouds. Right? And this is essentially the something. It will just keep going on a repetitive loop. I will just keep showing that it emits alpha radiation. And then if you have a gold foil, a very thin gold foil here, it kind of represents the experiment that we saw last week, right? You see that most of it, I mean, of course, in a real life scenario, you won't really see like 90% go through, right? But you can see most of it actually shoot directly straight through. Once again, indicating that how's the structure of atom? There's a lot of empty spaces, very good, right? And then you can see that some of it will be deflected at small angles, indicating that most of it's what? You can't what video most of the what? Most of the mass is within where? The nucleus, guys. Most of the mass and charge is within the nucleus. So it's like all kind of related one. 喂，你看我的 video 了吗？ Okay. Alright, so these are essentially the things you need to know. And then the next part, which is something similar also, how do this cloud chamber is just used to detect alpha radiation, all right? So how do we detect beta and gamma? Is something known as a GM tube. The full name is called a Geiger-Müller tube. A Geiger-Müller tube. Good news is you do not need to remember this full ridiculous name, because I know some of you have trouble remembering some of your classmates' name already. It's fine. But you do need to remember that it's GM tube, guys. It's called a GM tube, and a GM tube is essentially, you know, if you guys ever watched Monster Inc. Anyone did not watch Monster Inc? Yeah, everyone watched Monster. Go get a childhood, right? Okay, for those who have watched Monster Inc., right? You know that hazmat suit guy, then you wear the stupid machine that goes that thing, right? That thing is called a GM tube. Yes, for those who have no idea, sorry, you cannot relate already. But the graphical representation looks something like this lah. The graph Oh God. Yes. Now this is a mini Geiger-Müller cube, right? It basically calculates the radiation counts per second, guys. But in your syllabus, they will change it. Sometimes the units for radiation could be in counts per minute. Sometimes it could be in counts per second. Sometimes it could be some random number. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, because usually the magnitude, which is the number in front, is important only. If let's say they say that the radiation right now is 50 counts per second, then your answer better be in counts per second lah. If the question say that the radiation is like 50 counts per minute, then your answer better be in counts per minute lah. You get what I mean? But essentially, this is just something that is for you to visualize, so you know what a GM cube is, guys. Everything else is irrelevant now. You just need to know, like, and you don't need to know the diagram also. You need to know, you have to have the idea, the picture of a GM cube in your head, so that you know that this thing is used to detect radiation. And yes, it can detect alpha radiation as well, but usually they don't really ask about it. You just need to know that GM cube is used to detect radiation. Okay, everything else is irrelevant. So back to my statement here. Back to the notes here. Okay, so the first statement here is basically cloud chamber, which I've just showed you just now, is literally a chamber of clouds. It's a very small Petri dish only, it's not very big, okay, indicating that once again, alpha particles don't travel very far. And then beta and gamma are something known as a GM cube. Okay, this you must know. The symbol for alpha is actually not this, it's supposed to be like a tail A, guys. Ignore this. It's supposed to be a tail A, right? And beta symbol looks like a tail B, and gamma symbol is essentially the symbol for breast cancer. If you guys ever seen that pink color ribbon thing.
Or it looks like an upside down symbol of HIV or AIDS.
HIV, oh, now that you mention it, you're right. Yes, you're right. Good observation. Excellent. Yeah, but essentially these are the symbols, right? And then for the element itself, guys, alpha particles is a helium-4 2. Once again, it's supposed to be a small He, right? Helium-4 2. 4 is once again the nucleon number, and 2 is once again the proton number. Alpha particles have elements of helium-4 2. Then beta is essentially a electron 0, -1. And gamma, there is no element now because gamma is part of the electromagnetic spectrum. So it is a wave, and thus it is a gamma ray, right? Then, of course, in terms of the charges, guys, in terms of the charges, you'll notice that alpha is +2, beta is -1, and gamma is 0. The charges are also the reason why it can become an ionizer, guys. For anyone here who do not know what an ionizer is, in a very summarized version, guys, ionizers are basically things that can turn other things into positive charges or negative charges. You can see that alpha is a +2 charge, right? It means to say when it, let's say for example, if let's say I have like an alpha particle being shot into someone's body, right? And then let's just say this body is only made of like 2 neutral charges only. Because alpha is +2 charge, right? It's like chemistry, you know, it will actually steal the girlfriends of the positive charges here, so making your body positively charged, you know, because alpha is a stronger positive than the other neutrals, right? So it will steal the negative charges away. Very similar like in chemistry, you know, like I think you learned it in which chapter, the stupid 2 metal thing, what's that thing called again? What the hell? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? The 2 metal things that you stick into. Yeah, is it? Yeah, something like that. It's very similar to that concept, right? Just that remember that because it is +2 charge, it is actually the strongest ionizer here, guys. Meaning to say it can steal 2 negative charges away from other people. And then what happens is in a real life scenario, right? What happens is because this one becomes free radicals, really, right? So what happens is it will start stealing other negative charges, and then the chain continues, then it will steal, and then it will steal, and then it will steal and steal. And that's why, you know, in cartoons, you see that those people that are exposed to radiation, those people that are exposed to radiation, they kind of melt away, right? I always theorize, guys, but don't take my word for it. Right? I always theorize that it's because of the instability of their ions, so they start melting away. But of course, this is just a theory. I didn't bother going to Google to check it out thoroughly. Okay, but anyways, now you need to know that alpha particles are the strongest ionizers. Beta is a relatively weaker ionizer, and gamma has no ionizing power. It will not steal any positive charges or negative charges. Beta particles will steal positive charges because it is obviously -1 now, right? In terms of the mass, guys, you need to know that alpha is the heaviest, beta is very light, and there is no mass for gamma at all. No mass at all, guys. You don't need to remember the 4, 1 over 100, 1000 over, and then 0 here. No need. You just need to remember that alpha is the heaviest, obviously from the structure of element itself, right? And beta is relatively lighter, right? And gamma has no weight because there is no element. It's just a ray, it's a photon, guys. In terms of the travel distance, guys, alpha actually travels the shortest. It can only travel a few cm, as shown in the Petri dish. Beta can travel relatively further, a few meters. And gamma ray, because it is an electromagnetic wave, it will travel unlimited distances. Speed-wise, once again, alpha is the slowest. It's only 10% the speed of light, guys. It is only 10% the speed of light. You don't have to remember this also. You just need to remember that alpha travels the slowest. Beta relatively faster. It's 90% the speed of light, right? And obviously gamma is once again electromagnetic wave, right? And all electromagnetic waves travel at the speed of light. Like I mentioned just now, ionizing strongest, weak, and weakest here. Can you copy this few parts down first before we go on to the next drawing part? I feel like some Indian music good. Okay, done. That's good. Wait, 你講話，你到未？嗰個 parent 等緊你啊，嗰個我 start fast 咗。I don't see her here anymore. Okay. Okay, done. Okay. Okay, then once you are done with that, there are essentially a few more things you need to know from this chapter only. Number one is the penetration power in terms of alpha, beta, and gamma. If you guys pay attention to this, this is very important. It will definitely come up in your paper too, okay? If you see the word paper, aluminium, or lead, right, know for a fact that most of the time your question is going to test your understanding on the penetration power of different radiation already. Okay, looking at the diagram itself, you'll notice that alpha has the weakest penetration power. Even a piece of paper will stop it, meaning to say, right, literally anything that you have, if let's say I have an alpha radiation source here and I put my hand here, right, I will not receive any alpha radiation if I put a GM cube here, because my hand would have blocked all the alpha radiation already. Even a small piece of paper is good enough to block the to block the alpha radiation. Beta will have relatively stronger penetration power. It will penetrate through paper and usually be stopped by relatively thicker aluminium or even wood. So if you see like in the exam, you see like a thick piece of aluminium or a thick piece of wood, right? Know for a fact that they are testing your understanding of beta penetration, right? And finally, the last one here is gamma radiation. Gamma radiation, they will penetrate through everything and only be stopped by lead, guys. As soon as you see the word lead, for sure, they're talking about gamma radiation already. For sure already, without a doubt, okay? And lead is the only thing that will stop all forms of penetration in terms of the radiation. And for those who are a little bit more geeky and nerdy, right? If you watch Superman, you know Superman, he has X-ray vision, right? He sometimes Lex Luthor, which is the arch enemy of Superman, he'll hide in a lead dome. That's the only scientific reasoning behind Superman. You know, like the lead dome, it will actually stop his X-ray vision because even gamma radiation cannot penetrate through. That's why the bad guy, Lex Luthor, right? He will always hide behind a lead dome, right? Okay, and even like the olden day soldiers, they'll have like lead bunkers to prevent all the nuclear bombs and whatnot. Okay, so this is that for sure. Paper, aluminium, wood, or lead, usually talking about penetration power already. Okay, in terms of the effect of a electric field, guys, this is not a magnetic field. This is an electric field, guys. Electric field means to say, if let's say this is a positive charge plate, this is a negative charge. If let's say this is a negative charge plate, this will be a positive charge plate. But obviously in this scenario, the top is a positive charge plate. And because the top is the positive charge plate, if you notice the beta, which is this purple color one here, you will see that it will be deviated upwards towards the positive charge plate, simply because beta is what charge again? Yes, beta is negative charge by nature, then naturally it will be attracted towards the positively charged plate, right? Then, of course, same thing goes for alpha. Alpha, it will be deviated downwards, obviously, because it is a positive charge. Alpha is positive charge, so it will be attracted towards the negatively charged plate. And finally, of course, gamma will just go directly straight through. Now, if you look at the diagram here, you'll notice that the beta kind of deviates more than the alpha. Can anyone tell me why the beta deviates more than the alpha or not? Anyone at all? Beta, good. Beta is relatively lighter, guys. Yes, correct. Alpha is relatively larger mass, right? And because you can think about this literally like the fat kid that won't be pushed away, right? Like I keep saying over and over again, alpha is helium-4, right? And looking at the element itself, you already know that it has relatively higher mass, right? And because it has relatively higher mass, in a same electric field, guys, in the same electric field where the strength is equal, obviously you'll notice that alpha particles, they'll deviate a little bit less. The beta particles will deviate a little bit more, simply because beta is lighter and alpha is heavier, guys. This is very, very important in your exam. They will occasionally ask you to draw this kind of diagrams. And they ask you to draw this kind of diagrams, you better make sure that you draw the beta curve more, right, and the alpha curve less. Very important. Okay. Then finally, of course, this last part here is a magnetic field, guys. First and foremost, I want to ask, if I say that the magnetic field is X like this, what does it mean? Good. If the magnetic field is going inside, right, where should the North Pole be placed and where should the South Pole be placed? I repeat my question, guys. We have already identified that the magnetic field is going inwards. That's why I have magnetic field as X here. If I have magnetic field going into the paper, where should my north be placed and where should my south be placed with reference to my screen or your paper? Where? Left and right. North here. Is it? And south here. If the north here and south here, then shouldn't the magnetic field be in this direction? How can it go into the paper? What the hell? It's nothing to do with the hand. Think about it, guys. I want you all to think about it. N should be downwards and south should be outwards. I mean like this and this. Is this what you're trying to say, Rajdeep? South is coming out of the paper. South is coming. No, not exactly the answer that I'm looking for. Well, you guys, the real answer is the north should be in front of the screen, right? And the south should be at the back of the screen, right? Then the magnetic field will go into the paper, right? No way. Why you guys thinking so long? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? If I say that the magnetic field is going into the paper, then shouldn't my literally like my north pole be here? Then my south pole be like behind the screen. Then my magnetic field can go into the screen, right or not? Right, and because of that, now let me tell you this is very, very important. Like if you can do this, I can say that you're better than at least 50% of the students already. So how will the question ask you, before you can even think about how before you can even think how radiation behaves in the magnetic field, first and foremost, you need to remember the basic understanding of how current and electron flows again. Guys, which direction does current flow and which direction does electron flow again?
Electron flows from the positive.
Nani?
Wait,
Are
no.
you here? From the positive. Bro, it's the exact opposite. The electrons flow from the negative. Right, Leo? Then after that, the current is the one that flows from the positive, Right or not, guys? Right, from here, I want you to, right now, take a mental picture of this diagram, and I want you to forever associate alpha particles like like current, and obviously beta particles like electrons. Okay, this is your first association. If you don't do this, you're almost as good as gone already. This chapter, this specific topic, right? Alpha is like current, beta is like electrons. For obvious reasons, right? We already know that electron is 0, -1, right? For obvious reasons. Okay, from here, I want you to think back. Today, if let's say, right, I have magnetic field going into the paper. Okay, magnetic field going into the paper. And then I have alpha particles shot in this direction. What did I just say? Alpha particles is like what again? Current, right? It's like current, right? Right now I have current and I have magnetic field. How should I determine? What should I do if I have current and magnetic field together? What's the trick? What should we do? Good. I can see someone raising up your hands already. Which hand should we use? The left or the right? It's the left. Why? Why is it the Fleming's left-hand rule? Fleming's left-hand rule states that we must be given the magnetic field, we must be given the direction of the current, and we'll be able to find the force, right? Remember? Right now, I just said that literally the alpha can be like your current, right? Can I assume that the current is in this direction right now? If the current is in this direction and the magnetic field is going into the vapor, where will the alpha particle deviate? Yes, it will be upwards. For those who do not know, clench your hand into a fist, point your mother finger into the screen, right? And then your current finger towards the right. I mean, for those you'll see like this. Shit, my hand's so bad. Alright, magnetic field into the vapor, current finger towards the right, then obviously from here, your force will be upwards, right? Indicating that if alpha particles travels in the magnetic field, the alpha particle will be deviated upwards. Okay. Now, next, what about a beta particle? If today I say that the beta particle is shooting towards the right, what does this mean? Yes, it is in the opposite direction. Why? Why is it in the opposite direction? If beta particles is shooting in this direction, it means to say electrons is in this direction, right? Electron in this direction, it means to say the current is in the opposite direction, right? Right, and because the current is in the opposite direction here, it means to say that once again, magnetic field pointing into the screen, right? Current finger pointing towards the left of your left, not my left, your left, right? And then literally the force finger will be going downwards, right? Indicating that the beta particle will deviate downwards like this, right? Once again, you'll see that my beta deviates more than my alpha because it has less mass. Very good, everyone. You understand what I'm talking about now? Let's go for one more question and then you tell me the answer before we go into copy mode, right? Let's say right now the magnetic field is dot. Okay, magnetic field is dot. And then I have alpha particles going in this direction, and I have beta particles going in this direction. No, beta particles will be going in this direction. Which direction will the alpha particle deviate? Which direction will the beta particle deviate? Start off with your magnetic field finger first. Yes. Yes, good. 这么那个 fault current finger 指进那个 screen 了 Anyone that don't know how to do it, you better raise up your hand right now. I'll come over and then forcefully make your fingers in the right direction. 快点啦，做啦！哎，don't know do it. And review guidance icon. You know, do it in the proper orientation, in the real exam. You can literally flip the paper. Like, for example, this question, right? You find that your hand is in a very weak position, flip the damn paper or flip it so that your hand will be the proper direction. Okay, everybody can do it now. Which direction is it going to be, by the way? The magnetic finger pointing out of the screen, right? It's pointing out of the screen, and then your current fingers upwards like this, and thus your force should be towards the right. Your force should be towards the right arm, right? And thus your alpha particle will deviate towards the right. Okay, what about the beta particle? What about the beta particle? Which direction is the current first? The current is towards the okay. For those who do not know, the beta particle, once again, the magnetic field is coming out of the screen. Your current finger, oh my god, it's supposed to be like this, Current coming out of the screen, your beta particle is towards your right, not my right, your right, and then your force finger should be downwards, right? Indicating that the beta particle will go down. Shen, yes, I can see you are confused. I got yeah. My nephew you can literally orientate your body so that it's easier for you to do it. Yeah, right. It's like this, right? Oh shit. Like this, right? Go in current towards your right. Yeah, it should be like that, right? Your right, not my right, your right, right? Then it should be forced downwards, okay or not? Anyone cannot do it or not? Anyone cannot do it better voice or not? I tell you, it will come out in the exam, and when it comes out in the exam, you better know how to do this, because I can tell you 50% of the people cannot do it. Remember what I keep saying? You don't have to be the best in physics, right? You just have to be better than your friends, right? If you're better than your friends, then you will most likely score an A. Because this is beta particle means to say that the current is going towards this direction. Current is going this direction because beta electron is going this direction, right? Because once again, you must associate with this diagram. You must have a mental picture of this in your head. If not, it will not make sense of the whole thing. Everyone understand? Do you want the picture? The picture now. Okay, everyone understand? Copy this down. Everything. Doesn't seem like we have enough time. What's up with these two? Draw faster, guys. Don't take your time, This is not Picasso art class, Oh, look at this guy. He's playing badminton with two hands on two plates. Why? You feel in the whole thing. You better keep it up and balance. Okay, saya akan upgrade future for the potential advantage. This is the last chapter of radiation already, guys. Then after that, by next week, we should be doing some space physics. And then hopefully by early March, like latest the second week of March, we'll be doing past year papers already. Then we'll have like a solid 1.5 months plus do some half year papers. Then, hey guys, I want to say one more thing. for those who are like not scoring so well in physics for school, you better start doing the past year papers now. Like when March comes, right? The best case scenario for you to maximize this class is you've done some past year papers at home, you bring it to class, we can discuss about the answers one by one. I'll teach you guys what questions you cannot do, then we'll keep on doing more and more and more past year papers. Alternatively, right, if you're all lazy as hell, right, then what happens is you come here to do the past year papers, which will be limited question time only. You'll probably have time to do maximum 5 questions a day. And I can tell you that it's definitely not enough, okay? It's definitely not enough time, boys and girls, right? So ideally, you are doing some past year papers at home by now, or at least by the start of March, right? Then you do as much as you can, then you bring the question to class and we can discuss the answers one by one. That will be the best. But if you're lazy as hell, then good luck, everyone. And I want to remind everyone here once again, physics, right, is literally the easiest one to score in IGCSEs because of the super low threshold among all the other sciences at maths. When you compare physics with maths, it's much harder to score an A for maths than it is for physics, guys, because of the low threshold. That's why I keep saying over and over again, you literally just have to be better than your friends, then you'll be able to score an A. But if you're more shit than your friends, good luck also. Okay, I'm copying. Okay. Okay, everyone, for those who are done, this next part here is basically talking about alpha decay and beta decay only, guys. Alpha decay and beta decay is very, very, very easy. There is absolutely no reason why you should be not scoring for this specific subtopic, guys. Let's say we have something that goes through alpha decay, okay? Alpha decay. If let's say today I have some random element, element X, I don't know what element it is, but it has 100 neutrons and 50 protons. Okay, if I say that this thing goes through alpha decay, usually it's because this thing here, as the parent nuclei, is unstable. It's unstable, okay? And because it is unstable, it will go through an alpha decay. If it goes through an alpha decay, obviously the first thing that it spits out is going to be an alpha element, which is what again? Huh? 421. Good. Helium, helium 42, guys. Because it goes through alpha decay, right? Then obviously the first thing it's going to spit out is going to be an alpha element, right? And once it spits out the alpha element, the unstable parent nuclei will become a more stable daughter nuclei, right? So what will it be? I don't know what element it will be, Let's say it becomes random element Y already. But the numbers are definite, guys. The numbers are definite in the sense that it's literally mathematics. You have to balance them off, right? I think you guys learned a little bit like this in chemistry, right? Very simple, very straightforward. Make sure you do not lose marks in this. If it goes through an alpha decay, this thing is known as the parent nuclei. It is unstable. It will decay into a more stable nuclei, which is known as the daughter nuclei. Okay, very, very important. Always comes out in the exam one. For sure will come out. In fact, you better know how to do this. And it's damn easy. There's literally no reason why you should not know how to do this. Okay, then once you know about alpha decay, the next thing is literally the next thing, which is beta decay, right? If it's a beta decay, same scenario as well. Let's say, for example, it has a random element A. Okay, it has 50 and 25. Okay, if I say that it goes through a beta decay, what's the first thing it will spit out? 0 and electron, electron 0, -1, right? And obviously from here, it will change into a different nuclei. Let's say it becomes random nuclei B. What's the nuclear number and proton number here?
26.
24 is wrong. 26 is correct. Very good, Leo. Why should it be 26?
-1.
Yes, it's -1. So in reality, the mathematic here is 25 minus -1 now. Like literally here is 50 minus 2 to get 48, right? Right. This one here will be 35 minus -1 to become 26. In reality, what really happens here is, let me draw it out. If you look at the composition here, there's like 25 protons and 25 neutrons here, right? Because 50-50 right? 50, 25, 25 lah. Here, what actually happens is, right, it will become 26 protons and 24 neutrons. So essentially, what really happens here is that one neutron converts into one proton. That's what we call the beta decay. Sometimes in your exam, you have to know this as well. A beta decay is literally one neutron converting into one proton. As you can see here, just now was 25, right? 25 now become 24. Where did that one go? It became the extra one proton on top here, guys. This one here occasionally comes up in your exam, but you must know that beta decay is literally a conversion of one extra neutron into one extra proton. Okay, that's why it goes from 25 to 34 and 25 to 26 here. You understand what I'm talking about? This is very important also. Occasionally comes out, this one. Occasionally comes out. Okay, anyone's got any questions for this part here? Good, 100% absorption rate, just what I like or fear the most. Okay, if you look at the statements here, guys, it is literally everything I said in a more structured manner. A radioisotope and unstable arrangement of neutrons and protons in the nucleus is altered to make a more stable arrangement. The parent nucleus becomes the daughter nucleus and a particle, usually the decay product. It could either be the helium-42 or the electron 0 -1 only. Either one only. Because gamma decay is not a thing in your syllabus, ignore it. Okay. Isotopes of an element may be radioactive due to the excess of neutrons. Like I just now said, right? It will neutron convert into proton, right? In the nucleus, and being too heavy. Alpha, beta, and gamma decay on the nucleus increases the stability and reduction in the number of excess neutrons, literally neutrons turning into protons, right? The following change in the nucleus occurs during beta emission. Neutron changes into a proton plus an electron. Okay, copy this down and then start doing the exercises at the bottom. Right now. Send it to the WhatsApp radio. It's on 5.2. 可以在后面。
写完之后找，他有翻那个
那个 symbol 啊，OK，那个 symbol 就在这边。So let's say for example，它现在是 PO 是 PO，第一个是 PO 啊，PO 是这个哦，84嘛 ，right， 是不是84？哦，所以现在它 helium， 它 alpha decay 嘛 ，right， 所以一定是 helium 42这边嘛，这个变成什么82,206 right， 所以找82是什么？82 ，you look back here is going to be dB 啊。找到这两个小猪呢，你看啊，这个 PA 是85个嘛，对，代表这边 PO 看都 PO 那个哦，现在是84了哦 ，OK 了哦。然后你们现在要找82的1嘛，82的你写起来这样。对，投资下来的啥的话，这些东西。alpha、beta 或者 gamma 你可以。You know, funny story about this. Before 2 years ago, right? They never asked you to find from the what's it called, the what's the table called again? Periodic table, right? That's confirming our chemistry, right? 2 years ago, they didn't actually ask to find periodic table, you know. That year, right? When I was teaching my batch of students, that now suddenly I had a dream, you know, I had a dream that this year they will make them find the element themselves. Usually in the exam, they don't ask about the element, you know, they will like give the element and they'll just ask you to fill the number only. That year I dreamt, right, that you have to find the periodic table itself. So that day I just like casually in class I say, hey guys, I had a dream last night. And then like this year they changed it up a little bit and they make you find it yourself. So I'm going to teach you guys how to find it right now, okay? Then 我一教了后是 that year really came out. 这样买。Wow, then that year, everyone, all the kids like, answer that your question really came out. What degree really came out. Okay. Check your answers, guys. I assume that this is going to be correct. Right. You're supposed to get R-A and O, then N, Y, C-A, and O. Correct or not? Right, you guys get the correct elements. Then the number for PB is 20682, TH will be 23490, RA is 23488, TO is 21884. N is 14.7, Y is 90.39, CA is 40.20, and O is 13.8. Correct, Everyone got it correct, Then 这个没有做，等你给我拍，一直在玩。And then the next page, you're supposed to get either alpha or beta decay, right? And I will assume this is correct once again, because if you're wrong, god damn you, right? It's supposed to be 14.6C. Then after that, it's beta decay, obviously. It's supposed to be 4.2 alpha, right? Obviously, alpha decay. Then 32.16S beta decay, and 240.92 you put alpha decay. If you're wrong, or if she is wrong, then it's 18. Yeah, this one you should not be wrong. Yeah, literally, you cannot get this one wrong because it is literally GG if you get this one wrong. Do we have enough? Yeah, oh, a little bit of not right. Oh yeah, anyone's got any questions now for these two parts here? Okay, everyone, I think it shouldn't be a problem. Literally, like this part here, you should not get it wrong. Okay, let's go to the final part here, which is going to be half-life before we end the day. Now, like I said just now, guys, half-life is very important for carbon dating. Most of the time, half-life is used to determine how old something is only. Okay, it's determined to use how old something is only. If I were to give you a graphical representation, usually it will be something like this. For your understanding, you know that carbon dating right now, carbon dating right now is used to like determine how old something is, right? And I said just now that when you are alive, what happens is you keep absorbing those carbon-14, right? You keep absorbing like carbon-14, carbon-14, carbon-14. Until the day you die, you stop absorbing carbon-14. So it means to say until the day you die, right? Usually you have 100% of carbon in your body, right? Then this carbon is going to start to decay away because you stop absorbing it. And this carbon has something known as a half-life. A half-life is literally, like the name suggests, the time taken for the carbon to decay by half its current amount. Okay, so what it means to say, let's say for example, I said the carbon has a half-life of 5,000 years. Okay, it means to say after 5,000 years, this thing will be left with 50% of the carbon. After another 5,000 years, will it be 0? It will be 25%. Right, another 5,000 years, it will be left with 25%, and then another 5,000 years, it will be left with like 12.5%. Okay, so let's say for example, today I dig up a bone. I dig up a bone and I realize that, oh, right now I dig up the bone and I find that it only has 12.5% of carbon left in the in that bone. Then I can literally backtrack it and tell you how old this thing is already, because 12.5% means to say it has went through 1 half-life, 2 half-life, 3 half-lives, and 4 half-lives, right? And because it has went through 4 half-lives, I know for a fact that this thing here, 4 half-life will be equals to 20,000 years, right? This bone that I just found is 20,000 years old, and this is like the like the simplest way I can think about to explain half-life already. I repeat again, half-life by the name itself is the time taken for half of its life to decay away. Half of its current life, it won't go like 150, then 0, no, it's half its current amount, 50, half its current amount, 25, half its current amount, oh shit, why is there another 25 here? Why didn't anyone say anything? What the hell? So, yeah, so it's but you guys get the idea, right? You guys get the idea. It's now, am I confusing anyone right now? Why didn't anyone say anything? Why am I only beating you when no one in class said anything? Right, you guys get the idea, right? So it's like 3 half-lives and then it's like 15,000 years old. Okay. Understand? I think Raj is the only one that voiced out. Everyone else good. Some off. Okay, but everyone gets the idea, right? Everyone gets the idea. So in the exam, usually they will measure the amount of radiation based on counts per minute or counts per second. So usually the question will say something like, okay, right now I have like an isotope that is like it has like maybe 1,000 counts per minute now. Counts per minute right now. Okay, and they say that the half-life, let's say for ease of calculation is 100 years. Okay, how many years will it take to reach like maybe 6.25%? How many years will it take to reach 6.25%? And then from here, I assume that here is 100%, right? Then after one half-life, which is 100 years, it'll be 500 counts per minute, right? Which is 50%. Then after that, another half-life that gone through will be 250 counts per minute, which is 25%. And then another half-life that goes through will be 125, which is 12.5%, right? And then another half-life means to say that you'll go to 6.25% now, which is another 100 years. So literally all you need to do is calculate how many times it went through a half-life only. 1 half-life, 2 half-life, 3 half-lives, 4 half-lives. This time it will be 400 years. So it will take 400 years. It will take 400 years for the radiation to be at how much? 60 something 62.5 62.5 counts per minute. Okay. Now, on top of the amount of radiation that you should know, there is something known as background radiation. Okay. A very interesting example of background radiation is like Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You all know what happened in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right?
Yes, dropped 2 bombs.
Yes, very good. Someone who actually read the history books. You know, like Japan were very, very bad people back then. So the Americans, to punish these bad Japanese people, right? Right, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. You imagine that, you remember last week I told you that when the bomb drops, you close your eyes like this, you see through your boats and everything, right? You imagine that after the bomb drops, right, then like maybe after like 100 years, it will be safe to inhabit Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? But after a very, very, very long time, it was still not safe to inhabit Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And it's all because of the half-life. Now, in order to understand why we can't stay in Hiroshima and Nagasaki after the bomb has landed 100 years later, is because there is something known as background radiation. Background radiation. And background radiation states that it is always present. It is always present. And it is super randomized one. Okay? It means to say, even here right now, we have background radiation. The background radiation that humans have adapted to be safe, right, is somewhere around 30 counts per minute. Or 30 something, I don't know what's the exact number. But 30 is the general background radiation. Okay, human beings are okay with it already. Okay, today when the bomb drop into Hiroshima and Nagasaki, right? Maybe let's say today the bomb drop. It conveniently looks like a fish, but it's a bomb. Okay, this is Hiroshima. Don't know if I spell it correct, but Hiroshima. Okay, so when the bomb drops, right, what happens is, right, maybe when the bomb drops, the radiation count is like over the roof already. maybe it's like, I don't know, for ease of calculation, let's say 10,000 counts per minute. Okay, so obviously it's not habitable, right? But because this radiation will decay over time, it has its own half-life. Let's just say for ease of calculation, I say that the half-life is like 10 years only, which is obviously not the exact number, right? 10 years. It means to say, right, 10 years later, when was the bomb drop? Oh shit, this one I really don't know. Leo, when was the bomb drop? Do you know?
1945.
Okay, good. Wow, exact numbers are all. Okay, 1945. 10 years later, 1955, the radiation count is 5,000. Right. Still not safe. Another 10 years later, the radiation count is 2,500. Another 10 years later, the radiation count is 1,250. Another 10 years later is 635. Another 10 years later is 300 and something. And then another 10 years and 10 years and 10 years. And because of this, what happens is, right, even though the bomb has been dropped how many years already? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 50 years, right? Let's just say 50 years, right? The radiation count is still too high, right? The radiation count is still, after 50 years, the radiation count is still 300 over. So it's still not habitable. So for a very, very long period of time, not even like vegetables or trees grow there, right? This is because of background radiation that was present there. Okay, so this is one interesting fact about background radiation. And if you notice, oh sorry, you want to say something?
Yes, I want to say something.
Yes.
Serve them right, these.
Racism right here, but I don't know. I've never seen this before. Right? But yeah, my grandfather usually, when I talk to my grandfather, he always say also the stupid Japanese people. He's got a ingrown hate towards them. But because they were really bad, they were torturous, man. They were animals back then. But the Japanese people has after that evolved into very, very nice people with very polite behavior. So that's just, oh my god, time is almost up already. Okay, so anyways, I'm gonna stop here, guys. The last thing I want to talk about is basically, if you notice, the first page here, I actually skipped through this thing on purpose. Is something known as background radiation. Now in your exam, if they ever ask about background radiation, right, you just need to know like a few things only, 3 things in total. The calculation is for next week. I'm not going to talk about the calculation, but the first 2 things is, if they ever ask about background radiation, first and foremost, they'll ask you, where does this background radiation come from? Who contributes to the background radiation? And the simple answer is going to always be the soil, the rocks, the air, the building material, and also cosmic ray. Usually they'll ask you for 2 only. My personal favorite is always going to be cosmic ray, because radiation from space beams down on Earth, which contributes to the background radiation, right? And then the easiest one to remember is going to be the soil, because if you think about it, rocks and building material is made from the soil of the ground also, right? So if you just write either one of these is acceptable. This is the first thing I have to ask you. Name 2 sources of background radiation. I always like to write cosmic ray and soil or rocks or building material. It's up to you. It's the same damn thing in a different form only, right? Write these 2 down. Then after the second thing they'll ask about background radiation is name the 2 characteristics of background radiation, which is always going to be always present. Right, wherever you go, it's going to be there, and it's always going to be random. What do I mean by random? Background radiation is randomized in a way that it fluctuates up and down. At this instance here, right, maybe the radiation count is 13. Next instant, maybe 29. Next instant, maybe 28. But the next instance, maybe it will become 32. Maybe it will become 28. Maybe it will become 31. You know, so if you think about the chart, it kind of fluctuates up and down. Okay, so this is the 2 characteristics that we will always ask. Always present and randomized. Okay, it will keep fluctuating up and down. Okay, having said that, I'm going to stop here today, guys. We'll continue this next week. No homework for this week for now. Okay. For now, because we're trying to rush through the syllabus. And if you have time, guys, go to this YouTube thing to have a look at how adult dating is, guys. It will definitely be something interesting to expand your mind. Okay, guys, if you have any questions, you're welcome to stay back. If not, I have to leave the class for the next one already.
Bye.
Which one? Oh, man. 收你5块钱都。Oh shit！来这边了。